Foul is Fair, Chapter 29, Heading Home. I can't believe she set my dad up for an ambush with peer pressure. Megan sat on Kasha's couch, exhausted from the return to what she had difficulty calling normality. That wasn't peer pressure, Kasha said, stopping her pacing around her apartment for a moment. That was flirting. Like I said, Ryokard has a type. Megan had to admit, in a very distant way, her mother and the queen could be said to look a little bit alike. Obviously, the Seelie queen and the unseelie king are never, ever going to be an actual item, Kasha continued, which just makes the flirting worse. The flirting isn't what matters, Lonnie insisted. Her terrible, terrible plan is what matters. Now, Lonnie, it's totally understandable to be upset that things went so unexpectedly, Care piped up soothingly, having been called over as soon as they were back. But it's the queen. She knows a lot more than we do. I really don't think that she would go with an actually terrible plan. Pretty sure pissing me off this much was a terrible plan, Kasha said. I'm still waiting for the part where there's a plan to go back, get the sword, and find somewhere else to stick it. Care flushed. Lonnie answered. She's not going to let us get the sword back, even if we could. There's the whole fire thing. Justin looked like he was about to respond, but quieted when she continued. And knights, and pixies, she'll have it under guard. I don't have a plan yet anyway, Megan said. I will, or more likely, Lonnie and Justin will come up with something with all of you. There's a lot more of you here to discuss it. I need to go home soon. I still have a couple of tests coming up. You're sure my mother didn't suspect anything? She asked Care. No, nothing, Highness. All of your homework was turned in on time. Everything went smoothly. The math test is next Thursday. Your mother is working a little late tonight. So, can we keep helping at the homework help thing? Megan was hopeful. Care shuffled from tiny foot to tiny foot. Well, technically, Highness. Lonnie sighed. Megan, please don't abuse carefully worded 2-century-old diplomatic agreement between supernatural communities to get a B+ in chemistry. I had to try, Megan said. Besides, technically, my job in fairy isn't done yet, right? Come up with a plan, and then we can talk about using fairy magic to cheat on your next math test. Meanwhile, you're going back on your pills, right? But not all of them. The multicolored pills, spread out a bit when Mom's not looking, and vitamin C supplements, Megan agreed. Things started making more sense without them in fairy, but I don't know when we're going back. I'll be there to make sure she gets her vitamin C, Aisling piped in helpfully. Megan started to sigh, then stopped and looked at Aisling intently. How long have you been there? She asked, right on the edge of the corner of my eye. Hey, I've been flattered by how long you've had a thing for butterflies. Huh, yeah, well, you're welcome, or thank you, or something. She looked to Lonnie and Justin. Well, anyway, we'll go back when we know what to do. We'll be ready, Justin said. Good. Where will you be ready? The second most obvious thing to Megan was that she wasn't going to leave Justin to fend for himself in Seattle. The most obvious thing was that she couldn't take him home. I can give our hard-working boy a place here, for a 3-day trial run at least, Kasha said, looking him up and down. Justin twitched at the suggestion. Kasha saw it and smirked. Lonnie saw it and stepped up. He'll stay with us. Mom will insist, she said. And Mrs. Kahale might well insist once Lonnie told her she needed to insist about something. We'll talk to the right people about getting him an ID and stuff. They can do that? Megan asked. Care shuffled. Once again, Lonnie filled in the details. Fairies can do a lot of things, depending on the fairy. I understand that it took them a while to adapt to needing to forge driver's licenses and passports and things when they used to be able to just show up, Some of them quit bothering. Some of them adapted. Forging documents. And here I was feeling a little guilty about having a brownie doing my homework. Yes, and some of them also hunt and eat people, or bludgeon travelers to make hat dyes. So, not necessarily the best role models. Hey, you're half fairy too. Yes, half the type of fairy who feel very, very guilty when we don't get the extra wing of the temple finished in one night. Guilt is highly overrated, Kasha said. Megan grinned. Work schedules and owls. You Hawaiian lawn gnome people are very strange. Lonnie rolled her eyes, doing her best not to smile through feigned indignation. Fine. Next time you build your own bridge. As soon as I figure out bridge building magic, maybe I will. That's pretty unlikely to be one of your tricks, Aisling said. I thought you didn't know this magic. I don't, but I know plenty of people who did, and I heard about more of them. Annie the Fair, Tom O'Shaughnessy, Magic Roger Barb, Heather Riordan, Moon Unit Zappa. Wait, Moon Unit knows bardic magic? No, I just really like her name. Where was I going with that? You were telling me why I can't build bridges. Oh, right. You see, all of the worlds of magic comes from a pact with the first dragons. They didn't look anything like dragons you hear about now, though. Back then, though, of course they had the same intellectual rigor that made one dragon I know live under a Jesuit university. Does this have anything to do with bridges? Now Megan was having to force herself not to smile. Everything. Dragons grew wings because the bridges wouldn't hold them when they got too big. Of course they did. True story. But anyway, magic tends to come in themes. Your father has a lot of tricks, but he's really, really good at ice and cold and stuff. One of the best ever. Most of the bard types, whatever else they could do a little healing. And then there's the inspiring the troops things. That's pretty universal. Or it was. Now, instead of music, they have R. Lee Ermery. But the point stands. Anyway, you're still going to have a specialty for bigger things, and some things just won't work for you. How will I know? Well, if you sing along to something and nothing happens, then that song doesn't work for you. Megan was about to respond, but noticed Lonnie and Care giggling, causing her to pause before finally answering. Okay, that's obvious. How will I know what I'm going to be good at? See what feels natural. Really? That's it? Aisling grinned wide. You were expecting something different? Well, yes, actually. Magic seems like a pretty big deal. You would think that there would be stuff to study and formulas and, well, math problems, I guess. You can use magic at least partly because of your fairy side. If you had to focus too much or to do too much math, you couldn't do it. Hey, I'm good at math, Lonnie and Care said in near unison. Megan glanced at them, then back at Aisling. All right, I'll bring the book, and you can help me. One more thing to be studying. Speaking of which, I should get home. Lonnie stepped up to give her a hug. We'll think of something, Megan, I promise. We have a week. We're not going to give up. I'm definitely not giving up, Megan assured her. But first, I need to make sure I'm home on time. I'll have a lot harder time saving the world if I'm grounded. If you're enjoying this story, please remember to click the like button and subscribe. Also, follow me on Patreon for early access. And if you want extra rewards, join my Patreon Fae Fam. Thanks for listening.